came onto Instagram. I'm going to wave. So we are live. Oh my goodness. I cannot believe it's Thursday already. I am Joyce Johnson. Goodness. Sometimes I forget who I am, but author, speaker, sales champion, coach, and founder of Wise Sales Network. When I do that, it gets me going, Dr. Charlie. So I just have
Well,
to put it
I'll
out
do
there
it
sometimes.
too.
Do it too. Sometimes you got to shake and bake a little bit, get your energy going, right? Yeah,
Shake
that's
and
what you
bake.
have
I
to
like
do.
that.
But welcome to Thursday Therapy. We got the folks here on Instagram. I'm trying to turn to you guys sometimes as well. We have people on LinkedIn, Facebook, and I think YouTube. So today is Thursday Therapy. For those of you who've joined us before, Thursday Therapy, we sort of talk about diversity, inclusion, sexisms, isms, what have you. As a result of me writing my book, No Back Doors for Me. I share a story that my mom used to go to the back doors, right? Where she grew up in her community. That was a theme for African Americans for a time. And one day she just decided she was going to her favorite Mexican restaurant that now she wasn't going to go to the back door. And so I felt like when she told me that story, I felt like she had made a decision that day for herself and her children that there'd be no back doors for me, right? Me personally. And so thank you, Dr. Charlie. I wanted you to come on today because you edited the book.
I did.
Yes,
And
you
you,
were the
and you
editor of the book.
survived.
Yeah, I'm going to pull this some. Yeah. So you were the editor of the book. And so I thought it'd be awesome for you and I to just have some dialogue and you share some of your thoughts about the book, No Back Doors for Me, and what you actually thought about it as you were going through this journey with me of writing and editing the book. So why don't you introduce yourself to our audience and tell them a little bit about Dr. Charlie?
Absolutely. So I'm Charlie Caraway, aka Dr. Charlie the Book Mama. And after 25 years of writing and editing, I've become a veteran like you of corporate America and small business and higher education and nonprofits. And I've even worked with the U.S. Army and NASA. And then I just grew and morphed into this person that was really passionate about helping people tell their stories and helping them get their books out there, especially those that are going to inspire the growth in a community. I do have a weekly podcast and live show called Writer's Therapy with my co-host Stephanie Palmer, the Grammar Queen. And I work with Self-Publish in 30 Days on their editing team, which is how I got the pleasure of working with Joyce. So
Yes.
that's just a little bit about me.
It really takes a team. And when people say, Joyce, how have you, 'cause this is my seventh book. For those, this is my seventh book. I'm going to wave at some more Instagram people. Thank you guys for joining Thursday Therapy. So this is my seventh book. And I just said it takes a team, right? It really takes a
Yes.
team. And I remember, before I kicked off that first book in 2017, seeing Darren at a conference. And he and I had met before and talked. And when I left out of that room, just fired up and you had an aha moment and a plan. I said, call me when we get back to Houston. And, he's been a part of Team Joyce, and he does he and his team, you and Stephanie and everyone, because you have to have a team. It takes a team. And
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
Absolutely.
And so, he's been a part of my team. And when I'm getting these books out and coming up with these things. And so thank you guys for that. And if those of you watching, you probably see his picture on the back there behind Dr. Charlie.
Yeah, there he is.
There he
I don't want
is.
him,
There's
I don't
the
want him
king
to
of
get all the
publishing.
credit, so I'm only going to show half his head.
Only show half. Only show half. Yes. So, we put
Absolutely.
we put out a flyer this week that was pretty interesting. It was one of my quotes in the book, and it said that I realized in writing this book that because I start at the end, most recently
Right.
what I've been doing, and then I go back to my journey of being a young girl in Galveston, Texas. I've actually shared several decades of experiences and the involvement I said, why me in that word of colored people? Through decades and us going from being referred to as colored and Negro and Black and African American. And in my book, I was, and you brought it to my attention, and that's what made me go at that. And I found an article about it too. But when I was writing in a book, I kept putting different. I was like colored, Black, African American. You're like, oh, you kind of moving around here, but that's really what it is if you think about it. Black people, we have been, as that article said, I found that we have been trying to just evolve and
it's an
really
evolution.
find our place. Yes, and find our place and so, some level of respect in this community in the United States, mainly. And so that's why we have gone to those different names, And so it was really interesting. That made me realize, hey, I really am covering different decades of life and the journey of the African American person.
Yeah, most definitely. And that I loved that chapter.
Mm-hmm.
I really did, because you incorporated, and I don't want to give it away, but
yeah, I won't give you all everything.
but you incorporated the perspectives of different groups that face different isms.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah.
And you really present if nothing else, a thought-provoking perspective. Because really, isn't that all we can do, is provoke thought so that we can grow from contemplating on something? And really, Joyce, I have to give you kudos, because this book really pulled me in and intrigued me on a couple of different levels. And so it was
awesome.
fun. It was fun to edit the book, because you have done a fantastic job of incorporating difficult things to talk about.
Yes.
With grace.
Oh, thank you.
Grace. Yeah. So I want to give you kudos for that, because they're difficult topics. Some of them are very painful. And so the flip side of this, and I'm going to surprise Joyce. Everybody just know that I'm fixing to surprise Joyce.
I do not like surprises. She just says she's going to surprise me. Oh my goodness.
She doesn't know this.
What is that?
I grew up close to Galveston.
Did you really?
I grew up on Galveston Beach. Yeah.
No.
On the Bolivar Peninsula.
No way.
I did. I didn't
know that. How did I not know
that? But it gets better. But yeah. I lived in Houston, and I worked in corporate America in Houston, Texas.
Yes.
For years. And so we have that similar path, on some things that have followed. And so much of the things you were talking about in the book, I know where Ball High School is.
Yes, Ball High School.
I've been to Ball High School.
Yes.
And in fact, when my parents got married back in 1964, the very first place they lived was in Galveston, Texas. And so I have roots, I had history there. And so it was a personal read for me, as well as a developmental read for me, because you presented, just think about it. We grew up literally down the road from each other, but we had very different experiences. And then later on in professional life, we had some similar experiences in the isms. But so I was into it, Joyce. I was so into it.
Well, I'm happy that you were into it, and Galveston, I just have to say, that Galveston was a great place to grow up, because it was a small community. And I don't think that, a lot of times we just really, realized what was really going on until it just kind of like punch you in your face a little bit. Or until when you're writing the book and you have to go back and reflect on it all. You just sort of live your life and your journey, and you keep going on what your parents have instilled in you and what they've taught you. So, yeah.
I'm really curious to see how you're going to feel about some of the topics. I'm going to go into my professor mode for a second.
Okay, go ahead. Give it to me. Give it to me, Dr. Charlie. Go ahead.
Charlie is in the house.
Thursday therapy. It's Thursday therapy. Let's have some therapy.
So there is an old European, and I say old, I mean like I think all his pictures are in black and white, and
Yeah.
he's long since left this earth, but his writings have continued. There was a researcher and a sociologist, I almost didn't get that word out, named Alfred Schutz.
Hmm.
And many, many, many years ago, he wrote two essays, and one was the visitor, and one was the homecomer.
Ah.
And the essence of those was, and they're not even in print anymore. I think to get a copy, it's like $500 for
Oh
one
wow.
copy of an essay. Yeah. So
$500 for an essay.
the stranger and the homecomer. But the stranger was about what it's like to go into a situation and have to acclimate
Right.
to that situation, and you think that it's for a short time, or you think that it is for a just a season.
Yes.
And then at the end of the essay, he discusses how then you realize, okay, I have truly acclimated. I've become part of this community. But then the second essay that followed it was the homecomer. And the homecomer was an essay that was written on the concept that when you come home after being the stranger, you can't come home the same way you left. And that
On the same way.
you will never be the same as the
Hmm.
person that left. And although you may have the same roots, your story has changed.
Your story has changed. You're right.
And
That's
so,
interesting.
yeah, it's just the evolution sociologically inside of us. And so, even with this book, I see that is going to happen for you. And I'm so excited because I think
Yeah.
it's going to happen for many people. I think that they're going to read this book and they're going to see it from that perspective. They're gonna get to the end and they're gonna say, I'm never gonna see this the same again. I have such a new lens for perspective, not a right or wrong. There's not a you are so graceful. You don't say this is right and this is wrong. You just present
It's just what it is. And I'm just
your
presenting the
own
information
story.
and my experiences.
Yeah. But I just think that readers, no matter their gender, no matter what kind of community they live in, no matter their race, no matter what kind of hair or lipstick they wear, I'm making a secret reference to the book.
That's
um,
right, right?
I really think that they're going to leave with a new perspective, a new
Yeah.
lens.
I think they're going to leave too from this Thursday therapy section with a new perspective. That was really great. That was a good way of bringing that together because when I was writing the book, I kept going back and forth. I didn't want to feel like I was accusing people. I didn't want people to feel like that I was a victim, and maybe in some cases I was, but that wasn't what it was about. It was about sharing those experiences and letting people who've experienced them also know that it's okay. No, you're not crazy. This is crazy. It's crazy that you've had to experience it, but it's really real. And you're not just some paranoid individual wandering your streets. And then also for other people and I say that in the book and I say that in a journal. And that's why it was so important for me to put together the journal, because I want to, provoke thought for people that maybe were on the other side and was causing these experiences for people to think and say, maybe it was unconscious, unconscious biases, like they say. Maybe I didn't realize I was doing this. And, but I was. And I've had that experience in my young life, just moving like from Texas to California, and some of the things we did in Texas that I remember catching myself like when I lived in California. Joyce, let go of that. You're sounding like a Texas, Texas cowgirl. Let that go, right?
I'm sure that I would if I went to California. There's no doubt in my
Right. Yeah, and it's like just let go of that. And so I want people to be able to let go of some of those things that we were taught, and that's been instilled us, and make our own decisions about how we want to move forward, how we want to treat people, how we want to be treated by people.
And I think it's really important that we learn that going into every situation of life, that how we see it
Yes.
isn't how everybody else sees it. It doesn't make our
Yeah.
perception wrong all the time. I'm just saying that we have to understand that the way we think about or approach a situation isn't the same way everyone else does.
It's not, it isn't. But I also think that sometimes we have to think about ways and things that we've done to hurt other people. And then we have to own that, right? We have to
Yeah.
own it. And then, one of the stories I share in a book was an experience that happened to me about sex, kind of like a sexual harassment type thing. And I mentioned in the book how one of the gentlemen later, when he left the company, reached out to me. Obviously, it had been bothering him. And he just said, we failed you as men, we failed you and been able to protect you. He wasn't the person that did it, but he was the person, as I say in the book, sometimes the most dangerous person is the ones that keep silent. And the
Yeah.
people that keep silent and actually don't say what's happening and just stand along the side and allow it to happen. And so he just said, he apologized, and it made me feel really good, because when that experience happened, I was like, and I mentioned this in a book, every time one of those gentlemen sent out a corporate email, or anytime, there was a meeting with them, whatever, I just felt really anxious. I'm like, okay, am I going to lose my job? What are they saying about me in the corporate environment? Are they damaging my brand? You know, and I mean, I was constantly thinking about how that was going to impact my career. And honestly, I feel like it did do some long-term damage to my career. Because one of the gentlemen that was involved has never taken any accountability at all. And so by him, when you don't want to take accountability for something, you continue to hurt the other person because you want to feel like you were right.
Yes, that is true. I also think that it's important, and you do this through the journal, is you're trying to draw people out to investigate their own emotions and feelings and perspectives and their experiences. Because without that self inventory and without that self investigation, you're silencing yourself and you become your greatest enemy.
Absolutely. We don't want to silence ourselves. We don't want to silence other people. And and that's a lot about what happened, because, and I also talk about how I got through some of those things, because I want to share with people how to get through some of those things, some of the resources that are out there and available for people. And so I
Right.
shared that in the book as well. But talking about silence, I think with every experience, it just kind of killed my spirit for a period of time. And although I kept saying, put your game face on, keep going, keep moving, keep selling, keep staying engaged, I probably wasn't as an engaged employee as I wanted to be. I probably wasn't as present, in the lives of my friends and family, at those times, because I was dealing with that, and that internal,
Struggle.
struggle, that internal struggle, I guess. Yeah, that'd be a good word for it. So, so I hope that the book,
Yeah.
which
And
is available.
I would like to point out another perspective. This book really
Yes,
isn't just about, it's not a memoir. This book would be great for business people to read, because you really share some really difficult situations. I hate to use such a simple word for such passionate things that happen, but some very difficult situations that have happened to you across the years in business. And it's wasn't just about the colors your skin, it was also about your gender, and it was about perceptions that were incorrect. And there's so many good nuggets that I don't think that it's necessarily going to teach someone in business how to redo their business. It's going to teach them that they need to investigate how they're addressing the isms more.
yes, Yes. You know, I even mentioned in the book the old Bring Your Daughter to Work Day. You know, it was very,
Yeah,
very popular at one time and maybe not so much now. And what I thought was that we could really come back strong with that because at that time I felt a little like it because it was really initially kicked off for men to take their daughters to work, right? That was really was for initially. And I think at that time that men began to take their daughters to work and see women differently and how they treated women in a workplace. So I'm just, so whatever ideas that we could all come up with to just help better the workspace that we all have to go to and thrive in, I'm all for it.
absolutely. I remember being a little girl. My dad was worked in corporate America in the Houston area in the city of New Orleans, for the majority of my childhood. And I remember going up to the office to visit him, and he always would take me around and introduce me. And it didn't take me long to figure out he was always, you can do anything you want to do, you can be anything you want to be. But when he took me around the office, the only women filling positions in the office when I was much younger were secretarial positions.
Right. But here he is
And
telling his young daughter, you can be anything you
right,
want to be. But in his own office, women weren't
right.
being everything they wanted to be, or you didn't see that. You didn't have,
And
you
of
didn't
course, I
see it.
had the encouragement, at least in the
Mhm.
foundation, to move forward and try to be that. But I literally had to formulate in my brain. I remember when don't laugh
Yes,
now. Now, Joyce, don't laugh. But
I
when
won't.
I graduated from high school, in my mind, I wanted to be this Barbie girl in the top level suite running a corporation in my pink suit.
Oh, yeah. Love
But
it.
but all I was ever told was you cannot wear a pink suit. You have to wear a power color. You
You have to
can't wear
wear
a
black
pink
or
suit.
blue.
Black, blue, and on days when you can get away with it, maybe red.
Yes.
Yeah,
A
maybe
red
gray.
top or something. I
Yeah.
think women have ingraded color in corporate by wearing our suits and then wearing a colorful top underneath it, something floral, something, even something I'm a plain color girl, but the reds and the yellows and things like that. But you're right.
I
You
was like, why can't I wear a pink
but where can
suit?
I wear
He
my
said,
pink
oh no,
suit?
no one will
Right.
respect you if you wear a pink suit.
You
Well,
know, and my niece said to me, "Is black your favorite color?" And and I'm like, "Yeah, maybe by default," because I was just sharing with some guys earlier that doing that corporate travel life, it's just easier to put all
right.
black in your bag or all blue in your bag, right? When you start trying to integrate all those colors and and heaven forbid trying to change earrings, I always admire my peers, my female peers who's able to pack several pairs of shoes and different jewelry. I mean, I wear the same jewelry. I don't have earrings. I've probably got a pair of John Hardy earrings and a bracelet and a necklace and a watch, and that's going to go everywhere with me until a year later. I said, "Well, Joyce, maybe some time for some new jewelry," because when you're traveling, that's the way we did it. But I always admired those women who were able to add some color to their travel wardrobe because it's not easy.
Right.
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 And things evolve and change, and I'm glad that they do. But I remember, again, going back to high school, I was involved in a lot of organizations and things like that. And so it was plugged into me that when you're the leader, you wear a suit. So I
Yes.
had suits. I would
I
walk
did
down the halls and
too.
people
I
thought I
saw
was one of
someone
the
that wore
teachers.
suits in high school. Oh
Did
my
I wore
gosh.
suits? And
I
girl,
was
I was
I'm a
proud
suit
of those
girl.
suits. And I mean, I owned it. But then by the time I got out of college, the suit thing was kind of going out,
I
and
still
people
wore
were
it. I'm a
going
suit
more
girl.
casual. I did too for so long, and I'm wearing a suit, kind of a suit jacket today, just
Yeah,
because that's just me. It
yeah.
just is the way I am. But it's just so interesting to see the way little things have evolved.
Those little
So
things.
I would love for you, and you may have done this on another show. I would love for you
Okay,
to
what's
talk
that?
about your hair and your lipstick. Because no, no, okay, so but Okay, I don't know if you know this, but I'm
Yeah.
white. I'm white. I'm Caucasian. I'm
Uh-huh.
just surprised. And you know, that part of your book just literally jumped off the page at me because it was something that I had never thought about.
Well, so African American women in corporate, it's challenging. So there's been a time when I maybe did put some bracement for whatever reason, and then I felt so self-conscious because the way you can feel the difference in how people are responding to you, and you can feel the difference in, how people are just communicating with you or treating you, period. So, some African American women, we wear hair weaves and things because we like them. And, and I like it too. It's convenient sometimes. But, if you notice, I've had my hair like this for several months, and I just isn't a look that I would have felt comfortable in corporate. And I also mentioned in a book one time when I was having a lot of hair issues, it's probably the stress. My hair was falling out and things like that. So I went to see, I called my Aunt Mabel, like, oh, my hair, I grew up in a hair salon, my owned in a hair salon. And I called her. I'm just like in a panic. And so she tells me to come to her house. And I go to her house where she has a salon in the home too. Now that she's retired, we have a room that we go and do hair. And so she just cut all my hair off and I'm freaking out. She says, it's just hair. It's going to grow back. And she's cutting. I'm like, oh my God, what is going to happen? And I tried to rock that look for a while in corporate, but I was self-conscious about it. People were, I knew people were responding to me differently. They were treating me differently. And I actually mentioned in the book how I went to see one of my customers. I finally just put some hair in my head, right? Just went ahead and got it weaved. And when I went to the customer for that next meeting, he said, you finally got some hair. And I said, yeah, would you like some? Because they could probably help you too, because he was bald.
Oh yeah.
And, yeah, white male, he was bald and things. And so then he was like, he just started laughing and we both laughed and it just broke that thing that we've been having between us, and so it broke that ice. But he had obviously noticed my hair, right? And, for whatever reason, didn't like it. And so you asked about my lipstick, the red lipstick. This is my signature lipstick now. I'm not even a big red fan. I know my brand is red, but I paid a marketing team to come up with that. So I would have never thought it'd be appropriate to wear red lipstick in the workplace, right? So I'm watching television one night and I see this story about Lucille Ball and how she would wear red lipstick so that she would appear less intimidating to the men in the room. Because if we all know of Lucille Ball and her brand, she was in charge. She owned her brand. She was the boss, not her husband, not her manager, anyone. But to make the men feel a little bit more comfortable, she would wear red lipstick. And I was always trying to find ways to be less threatening in corporate. So when I saw that, I immediately ran out and got all these different shades of red lipstick and, and found the one that works for me. And I've been wearing red lipstick ever since. And I enjoy it now. It's fun and people recognize it. If I don't have it on, people actually say something about it, which, is
Really?
odd. And I'm like,
Oh my
yes.
goodness.
And I'm like, that is so odd that you can wear red lipstick or the color of your lipstick could be more calming for people. And when I thought about it, I said, well, I used to wear a lot of brown tones and undertones lipstick. And so it probably made my face look less friendlier, right? But why am I trying to wear red lipstick in corporate, But I was
Yeah.
like I said, many times the only woman, less on the only African American, sometimes a lot of times the only woman in the room. And so just had to find ways to, for people to stop feeling like I was so scary. I'm like, I'm just not that scary, people. I'm sorry. I'm not that scary.
I completely and thank you for sharing because that was one of my favorite parts of the book. It made me
Yeah.
really step back and think about just things on different levels. Like I could probably go on for an hour, but
Yeah.
that was one of my favorite parts.
And you mentioned the other chapter when I talked about inclusion. I skipped over that, but inclusion has been a big part of my corporate brand. And even with work, working with employee business resource groups and, and things, I've always wanted people to really understand African Americans, not to separate us, but to have us become inclusive, right? And also that with many, I volunteered community service with the Latino group. I, was active in women's organizations, active in veterans organizations. I think it's important for all of us to understand one another and where we're coming from and how we're thinking. And it's, because we've all had our experiences and we've all been embedded with something, right? But I really hope that my book helped people to understand the journey of the African American woman, and in particular, going going through my experiences. And I've never shared them before. People have been asking me for years to share. And when things were happening to me, I just stayed focused because I wanted to be able to help others. And I felt like if I focused too much on my story, I wouldn't have been able to help them get through what they were going through.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And now you are, and now you get to do that. And I think that's phenomenal.
I certainly hope so. Yeah, I certainly hope so. And I told you the time is going to go by fast, Dr.
I
Charlie.
know we're
This has
already
been
done.
Thursday therapy. We just want to give you guys a little therapy on Thursday. It helps to talk things out and to sit and sometimes to talk things out with people who aren't family members or directly in your path of mentorship and what have you. And so, I'm a proactive proponent of therapy. I want people, and women and whoever that's been experiencing these isms to be okay talking to someone and maybe going to therapy if you need to, because it's a lot. And until I started writing this process, it was many days of tears, and I just didn't realize the impact that it had had on me. So I like to end by saying that, but, join us tomorrow night. You guys should be, I'm sure Monica's probably typing in a link. I can't see because I have my full screen up. But join us tomorrow night for the book launch virtually at 7 o'clock. You can go and sign up. It's on my website at IamJoyceJohnson.com. You can go and sign up to join us tomorrow for the book launch. The book is going to be available on Amazon. Also, it is for the pre-launch. It's been available on my website, IamJoyceJohnson.com, where you can get the book and the journal that I created for it, and a T-shirt that says "No Back Doors for Me." But again, I am Joyce Johnson. This has been Thursday Therapy. I hope that you guys all purchase the book, "No Back Doors for Me." It's if I say myself, I just think that it's a story about my journey. And I hope that you're able to learn from it and that you take something away. So, Dr. Charlie, thank you for joining Thursday Therapy.
Thank you for
You
having
guys
me.
out there, as I've been saying, make it a great year.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. All righty. Oh, I think we're still live. Monica, we've done. It shows that we're still alive. So, hey, we're still alive. And there's some people still following. So,